Alrighty. Welcome back, everybody. Looks like we've got ourselves a Filipino opponent, and it goes for the Caro-Kann. I mean, goes for e4. We are going for the Caro-Kann. I basically spew out the words, and then you have to put them together. That's the price you'll have to pay for seeing some solid Caro-Kann in action, hopefully. How can I know? Okay, hopefully. So my opponent just plays classic variation. On e5, I'm actually really looking to play bishop f5 because I haven't done that in a while. And ed will have to play exchange variation, but goes for classical, where it's important that you play knight f6. I'd much rather prefer this move over the well-established old variations. Knight f6 is the modern mainline, the Tartakova, and we actually get to see that my opponent is declining my Tartakova offer. And on the channel, I have played g6 in the past exclusively. This is also what I recommend in my course. I think it's easy to solve, easy problems. Bishop g7. I play it with immediate c5 in my course, but you can also just do castle and wait for knight f3. Bishop g4, trade, knight e7, play e5 break. That's what we did in the past. Now, I'm gonna play it with e6 and show you how to deal with a bad bishop. Bishop g4, it's a tempting move to make, but the issue is that after f3, we don't have such a nice way to keep the bishop. Main problem is that the knight controls f5 square, which could be used. So we're gonna play with e6, and the plan will be to go bishop e7, castle, b6, bishop b7, knight e7, and then c5. If we can play all those moves, we're gonna have a fine position. So just gonna go for a very simple play. And it's important to understand that this is doable because there is no pawn in the center. So after c5, the bishop will have a long life, let's say. Because if you try to do it in the exchange variation, so the risk that you're running if you, after taking play e6, you can never really play b6, bishop b7, because you will always have a pawn in the center that's gonna restrict your own bishop. So important little nuance of why we can get away with it here and not in the exchange. So I could do knight bd7, I could do c5 push. I'm just gonna play it very simple and slow. b6, bishop b7. I'm waiting with this knight a little bit. Probably it's gonna go standard on d7. Could also play c5 and put it on c6. That is most flexible, but I guess knight d7 now or c5. Both moves look quite good. I think queen knight d7, then maybe I can even play queen c7 first. Play choose between rook fd8, rook ac8, queen b8. c5 can be a plan, or I can do queen c7, rook a d8, and then c5 as the plan. Not super sure that I need the rook to be protecting f7. He doesn't look to be playing very aggressive setup with the bishop on e2. I don't feel like my king is in danger here. And I can do c5 right now. I can also do it a bit later. It's important while considering to push c5 that your opponent cannot play d5. Because if that's available, it's gonna lock in your bishop for good. Also important to do this move generally when you can, because there is some risk of your opponent slowly expanding and then playing c5, and the guy can get locked. Yeah, okay. I think I'm gonna just do c5 right now. And I'm not gonna rush with the take. I'm gonna do c5, put queen on c7, and we wait. Um, okay, knight e5 doesn't strike me as a great move for him because he's probably looking forward to us taking and then getting a symmetrical position with some extra space, but I can take the pawn first and then trade the knights. So from a position with less space, he's enabling me to trade, which is gonna make my pieces life a little bit easier. Okay, so takes with the queen, can go for the trade, can also attack the queen as an intermezzo and then trade. Do I want to do it that way? Can follow it up maybe with a queen d6 move. He can still keep queens on the board with queen g5. Yeah, it doesn't feel like I want to engage in that business. So I can trade, play queen b8. Offer a trade that way. It's usually pretty classy way. Or I can just play the more normal queen d6 after. Yeah, I think that's how we're doing it. So queen d6, and if queen g5, h6 should be pretty nice. We're gonna play endgame, so it's gonna be an a balanced endgame. So I have no bad pieces, and okay, he declines endgame for now, but might have to trade eventually. So still good chances for endgame. So we have no bad pieces, good bishops, good knight, no weaknesses. Now white has a bit of a mobile pawn mass, so he'll try to get an outside passer. This is actually a thematic endgame that we generally get from the white side in the Jubava videos. But okay, with slightly improved version over there. And while white tries to march these pawns on the queen side, black will have to create counterplay by pushing these pawns into the endgame. So like f5, e5, e4, and create counterplay. Okay. I'll try to give you more ideas based on that endgame as we go. But for now, I need to find a setup for my pieces. I can also just bring a rook into the game. White's problem is that the knight is not ideally placed for my opponent. So rooks normally belong open files. Look for the missing black pawns. That's where your rooks need to be. So I'm gonna start this way, expecting rook d1, and then I'm just gonna sidestep while offering a trade. So idea is to recapture with the bishop, of course, not with the pawn. I don't want to self-isolate. Self-isolating is good from time to time, but not when it comes to your pawn structure. So queen c5, offering a trade. Not playing queen c6 for the cheapo, because queen c6 bishop f3 is just giving white a tempo move. So never play for tricks. If there is one good habit that will help you improve as a chess player is stop playing for tricks. That is just cancer for chess. Making a move, hoping that opponent doesn't see, instead of trying to have a more like long-term plan, going for improving your pieces or a pawn break. You'll never improve if you just play for tricks. Queen c3, so he keeps. It's a little bit annoying on the long diagonal. I'm considering to actually just play bishop f8 and never have to worry about as a checkmate. So I'm gonna do it that way. Expecting maybe a3, b4 from my opponent. Yes, there we have it. And I can also trade, but my knight is a bit better than his, so no need to be desperate with that. I can also do a5, trying to slow him down, or I can do queen c7, kind of preventively retreat and prepare trading rooks. To be honest, I like a5, it's just weakening this square a little bit, but I don't think I'm supposed to give him an easy push. So I could have waited, just play queen c7, it was easy thing to do. But I don't know, it just felt like a5 slows him down quite nicely. And it's a move I can probably get away with. Maybe even in some variations could think of b5. cb, trade queens, and then pawn on a3 is weak. Risky way to play it, you don't have to, but I'm just considering the options. So a5 and we have a pretty good position. It's not entirely clear what to do next. I'm wondering if we can realistically start pushing for more. Maybe I just play rook ac8 kind of move, and then I'm hoping to be threatening to take, and then b5. Yes, okay, he just plays rook e1, simple move. I play rook c8, simple move, and actually there is some pressure on this queen right now. So if bishop f1, let's say he goes, I can maybe trade and play b5. Okay, so there we have it. I play b5 and okay, I just, my position seems very active. I think we should be doing fairly well. Trade b5 and then also have idea to play bishop a6. Create a bit of a weak pawn. So we're going for that. Oh wait, b5, I forgot. I forgot my a5 is hanging. Okay, I made a completely stupid decision then. b5, queen a5, takes, trade queens. I lose on c4. Okay, not good, but not terrible either. Not great, but not super terrible yet. Can I start doing h5, h4 now that he played it so passive? I probably should have started h5, h4 in this position. I just gave him an open file because I was feeling generous today. Let's put it that way. I'll just do h5, h4. My position feels just too active and he doesn't have a pawn play ready. A pawn break, not a pawn play. Sorry guys, but just my vocabulary sounds moronic today. Also some of my moves, so it'd be like that sometimes. It'd be like that sometimes. But if I can play h4, h3, maybe we might be even getting away with a moronic attack. So, who said it's so bad to be a moron? Just less stress. You can give up file like this and have no stress. Just look at me how I'm playing moronic chess and I'm still doing well. Until we're gonna get a reality check within the next few moves. But I don't know, we will see. We will see. Yeah, queen e3, see, so he felt the pressure. Okay, so I can create him isolated pawn and then target with bishop c5. Yes, we immediately just jump on the weakness. We have to jump on the weakness. I should have maybe started h4. Maybe. h4 was quite a logical and sensible inclusion of a person that just played h5 previously, but I see weak pawn. I'm just like a kid. You know, when they put those kids at an interview and ask them, okay, you can have one candy right now, or you can wait 5 minutes and have 100 candies. Of course, nobody has the patience to wait 5 minutes. This is how I feel with this weak pawn. Okay, can I do h4? h4 has to make the knight live a miserable life, at least for a move. Bishop e4, forcing rook on awkward square. Bishop e4. Okay, let's play it. Rook c3, I win open file. This is it, okay. Simple chess, also best chess. We're doing great in that position. My opponent's pieces are getting outpowered. Rook d2 about to happen. Knight g4 looming. If knight d4, rook takes d4. I should have given it to you as an exercise, but there is no time for that. Knight d4, maybe also just playing for activity of my pieces. e5. Maybe e5 in that version. Oh, this is getting so good. Just not a lot of time on the clock. We'll have to really speed up. There is no increment. There is no increment. So rook d2, he's gonna do bishop c1. Then I'll have to play rook d1. His pieces are almost paralyzed. I'm not seeing the knockout blow. Okay, rook d2 has to be a good move. Rook d1 has to be good, keeping these guys under pressure. Is bishop b4 just trapping the rook? Nah. This is the epiphany of shitty coordination. Look at the rook. Look at the piece domination. Oh my goodness. If this is actually good, I am very happy about this game. Must take now. Must offer trade, I'd imagine. Threatening 94. Big move. Big move. He has to take. My opponent is paralyzed. His pieces are just paralyzed. 94, he's losing bishop. He's losing on e2. The position is collapsing like a house of cards. This is just pretty. Without worshipping my own game too much, I have to say this is just very enjoyable. Oh, look at this! Oh my! Oh my! That was just the cherry on top of the... Yeah, was this a cake? It was not a cake. I don't know what it was. I think I just had a bit too much sugar before this game, but this was something special. Oh my! It's a positional squeeze. Oh, this was 96. Oh my god. I felt like I was playing really, really poorly the way it started. I accidentally played this rook d1 move. I actually felt h5 is better move. Apparently it was clever not to allow rook d8, rook e5. So this sort of brilliant idea of mine started with taking, and then I was just looking at b5 without realizing queen takes on a5 can happen. My plan was to do like this and create weak pawn on c4. Now I just had to go with the flow, roll with it and play h5 like nothing happened, but then White realized that his position, I'm seriously just about to do h5, h3. If you take h4, h3, take and then play queen c6. So I was like, okay, I mean, this guy is ready to punch, so I'm gonna trade queens. But you trade queens and you have weak pawn. h4, rook passive, open file, infiltrate, tempo, rook is trapped. Give me that rook. Oh, look at that domination. Where can you get dominated like that? I don't know. I don't know. Don't ask me, okay? Do not ask me. All right. That was Caro-Kann. If opponent declines the Tartakova and plays knight g3, at this point, I just played e6 for fun. It's not even my favorite move, but it's possible. It's a sound move. Many grandmasters have played it. As long as you solve the problem of your bad bishop with this c5 move, black is okay. So I think with that being said, we can move on to the following game. Quick pause because I just wanted to let you know that Chessable is running a greatest hits sale. So in case you were waiting for any of my courses, you can get the old London System course, not the Joe Bava, the old one, and as well the Caro-Kann also happens to be on a sale. So with that out of the way, let's go back to the games. Dear chess improvers, welcome back. Gonna be Caro-Kanning. Hasn't been very easy lately. I've been playing a lot of games against d4. Been playing some King's Indian games, in case you haven't seen those yet. Could be because I haven't posted. Now, my opponent plays advanced, and I'm gonna go for a variation that I kept in the pipeline for about a month now. So, going bishop f5. This is something quite new that I don't really do on the channel. I normally play c5. This is my main recommendation for games below 2000 elo. This is what also I give in my chessable course. But let's just say me and bishop f5 have a little bit of history together. This is how I played Caro-Kann when I was a pretty young and up-and-coming player. Now, after h4, it's very important to play h5. I think I'm going to stick with the main line. So he's going for the Tal variation. Super important to not fall for the trap, basically. It's tempting to sort of ignore opponent's move and autopilot, but then after g4, f3, bishop g6, h5, you're losing a piece. So, very important to do this. And okay, so he goes bishop g5. This is the interesting way of playing it. Alternatively, the main line goes bishop d3. And after bishop takes, queen takes, I quite like to not play e6, but go queen a5 check first. This is quite important nuance. Hopefully, we're going to have those positions in the future. On bishop g5, however, because we cannot play e6 anymore, it's natural to just move the queen away. So queen b6 is the move, targeting b2, also keeping an eye on d4. And now bishop d3 is, I believe, the interesting trap for white. I had so many games in these positions. It's getting very complicated, I have to say. One of my friends, actually, Romanian Grandmaster David Gavrilescu, plays this with white, quite a trappy line. And I had a blitz game against him a few months ago. And I went for queen d4, knight f3, queen g4 is how the variation goes. But I've been looking at it more recently, and since this is quite dangerous and you really need to know what you're doing as black, I think a much better risk-reward ratio you're gonna get after the bishop trade and then just keeping it very simple. Not taking on b2. I believe after e6, some really crazy complications occur and white is close to winning. I don't even remember if queen b2, e6 is how white starts. Could be queen b2, queen b3, interesting. And that endgame may be bad. I just know queen a6, so for the queen trade it's safest move and what I wanted to play. I've been really analyzing these positions recently. And now, after e6, do not start with the take because you give him check, but go with the trade. And I believe this endgame should be quite harmless for black. We should have... okay, despite the fact that it's a bit awkward to develop the bishop at first, we should have an easy time completing development. Now, it's tempting to do g6, bishop g7, but based on his last move, he might be willing to meet g6 with knight e5. That can be annoying, targeting the pawn. So for this reason, I'm more inclined to play knight d7 first, stopping knight d7, stopping knight e5, and then I can either go g6, bishop g7, or I can do knight h6, knight f5. These are the moves. Okay, g6. What if he tries rook e1? Can I play king f7 protect? He might do bishop f4. Preparing knight g5 check. Yes, that's a bit annoying. So maybe it can be clever to do knight h6 instead. I need to come up with a reply on rook e1. How do we protect this pawn? So I believe material-wise, black is having an extra pawn. So we could actually afford to lose e6 if we manage to get good development. So how do we do that? Knight h6, rook e1. How is this variation going? I remember analyzing this type of positions a little bit, and computer was very optimistic for black. That's what I can tell. So knight h6, rook e1. Can I go knight f5, rook takes on e6? King f7, rook has to go back. Do you just play e6 in that position and just say you're active? Maybe that's how we do it. I'll try to play like this. I just remember you're not supposed to play the natural move. And then this is the other thing that makes sense. So I'm gonna give up e6 because it was not easy to protect it. And now king f7 with the tempo, I think, was the right way to go. And okay, I have a choice between g6 bishop g7 or e6 bishop d6. g6 bishop g7 feels more aggressive, but g6 maybe I'm a little bit afraid of this knight g5. I remember I was looking at this with the computer and it wasn't really a problem, but it feels quite awkward. I'm gonna go g6 just because I think it's the better move and gonna be a bit tricky for him to defend as well. Wow, rook e1. So point is I cannot take due to rook e7. So this move comes to mind. Maybe the other rook as well. Perhaps the other rook is better. What do we do in case of bishop on e3 with knight g5? Probably just we hide. Or the bishop f6. I don't know. I'll play here, defend. Feels natural enough. Also making room for king g8 at some point. Ah, and okay, knight e5. Knight e5, so he's repairing the pawn structure. I can trade and then it's gonna be even pawns. I mean, still, it's already even pawns. But we get more of like a normal structure, what I'm trying to say. Now, normally knight takes on e5 is what you do. Prioritize lower value piece for the trade. Can it make sense to go with the bishop? Pawn takes and then do e6. And say I have all my pawns on light squares. Maybe white's bishop is not as useful. It can be a pretty bold strategy. It could be backfiring. But you know what? For Caro-Kann, I think it's quite interesting to play like this. Try to go light square strategy. Unless I'm getting steamrolled with f3, g4, we should be quite solid and play around the bishop. I think it's quite a nice way to play for a win, creating a bit of imbalance. Okay, rook d2. Right. So, okay, I need to come up with a plan. I have a majority on this side, so my pawns should be pushing like this, b5, b4, and go queenside play. Is there a risk of starting b5? Can also do c5 so that I'm not letting d4. Okay, let's do c5. Knight b5, not afraid because of, well, I cannot do a6, I'm getting forked. But knight b5, not threatening knight d6 at least. So that's covered. I think just rook c8 with a6 should be okay. If check, my assumption was that the pawn is going to be weak. So let's find out. Okay, so we're going double-edged. Interesting. e5, king e6, one idea. Rook c6, rook d6, another one. But rook c6, bishop e7, he may be tempted to go for. Getting pretty dicey. E5. E5, F4. Rook E8. Trade on E5, take with the rook, take with the knight, rook F2 check. King E6, rook F6 check, king F7, bishop F4. I have knight takes on D3, but then there's rook F7 check. There's gonna be king E6. Rook E7 check, that's pretty bad. King F6, bishop G5, it's not good. Okay, how to play this? If I go passive, should be no good. If I go knight F6, on the other hand, denying bishop E7, rook E8. No, that doesn't smell right. How about I just play C4? Like, I might be rather solid. Yeah, I think I'm just ignoring. Looks to me that I'm having a pretty decent blockade. I don't see how the rook wants to infiltrate. Point is to take with the rook and put the other one on E8. Okay, maybe a bit of a problem. I didn't consider this move too much. CD3, rook E6 looks great for my opponent. Maybe I shouldn't have allowed it that way. Okay, I have to play E5 and then take with the rook. This is tricky, but I mean, I should be good. F4, E4, I get a blockade. Only problem should be that I don't have a lot of time on the clock, but I think we're outplaying opponent here. Pawn is blockaded, we get strong center, he cannot get a majority. B3, where with the rook, rook C5, let's have this protected, why not? Rook C8, if I trade a pair of rooks, it's almost over. Here, threatening to double up on the second, he has to trade. Knight is perfect blocker. Trade and rook coming to C2. Okay, this does not make a threat. Rook D2, trying to swap. Trading, rook B4, I have B5. Yes, rook is almost trapped. Now D4, E3 is idea. D4, I have check maybe with some mate, if he's not careful. King F5, King E5. Threatening to mate, has to go passive. Yes, check. Maybe trap rook. I lost tempo with the rook, but shouldn't matter. Here, I'm trying to play for mate on rook C7 and now trapping the rook. Go winning endgame. Perfect blockade. Pick up rook. D3 check. B4. Okay, get a queen. Close. Gonna be a close one. Queen G4. And knight E5, knight F3. Nice. Okay. Close ending, but felt maybe like a good game. Not so sure about this one. It got super double-edged. Was a pretty high-level game. For a while, it felt like. Okay, 87. So apparently I've blundered massively. Apparently I've blundered like a pig somewhere. E6. So Fe, I played a natural move. Right. My opponent forgot to throw in EF, which also I didn't realize. I felt he could play the gambit. So it was better to just do F6 in this position. And then the point is, somehow he's not gonna have an easy time protecting this pawn in the long run. I see. I went for the take and then this knight h6 was precise. I remember somehow this must be transposition to a different line that I've analyzed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have recalled this knight h6 idea. So you give it up and then you push g6. Yes, no, I remember watching some Rasmus Svane games here for black. And rook e8 and bishop takes was quite interesting, except I completely bungled the game afterwards. Yes, I do knight c5 and black is close to winning. Knight c5 and the point is if you defend, black gets perfect blockade and bishop is really not having targets. I was afraid of e6, why I haven't played it, but king g8 you can do, and okay, if white does nothing, you take a free pawn, and if rook d1 defending, then you're kind of winning e6, so yes, knight c5, knight e6, I didn't realize I can get. Intuitively, it felt like we can play like this, but my opponent played a strong move, this rook e2. I just forgot when I pushed. Rook e2 was very strong. I played the e5 and the only idea to get any interesting game for white was to sacrifice exchange, which I didn't feel was so strong, but without exchange sacrifice, white was just busted. Okay, it's such a powerful combo here that it even happens to be winning for my opponent because the pawn is near promotion and the bishop controls the promoting square. But after DC, he had the same idea. So you do it like this and I cannot stop the pawn from queening. But he didn't realize, and after king e6, I was always in driver's seat. It could have gotten messier at the end. So I was happy with the rook trap and the conversion. But yeah, all in all, I would say quite a useful game to keep in mind while dealing with the Tal variation and more specifically these things. Yeah, so queen b2, e6, yes, that's the money-making move. White is just winning if you take that rook, which is a crazy trap of Tal variation. But in my opinion, you just keep it simple, play for endgame. I think black is quite solid. I looked around a little bit. So yeah, if you guys found this game somewhat instructive, and with that being said, we can move on to the following one. You're probably wondering, just like somebody that's asking himself whether I forgot to lock in my car or my apartment after leaving to work or something like that. I almost got you there. You thought I know what is having a job is like. So innocent of you. Jokes aside though, I actually showed you this position at the beginning of the video, and I told you that e6 is not a great move. And you're probably wondering then, what the heck are you supposed to play? Well, this is gonna be the topic of the next game. Alright, welcome back everybody. We do get a game against a Greek opponent, and just give me a second. I need to turn on the move highlight because we are about to Caro-Kann. And oh man, I have a variation in the pipeline for about 3 weeks. I learned this variation about 3 weeks ago. I managed to play it only once. And I got absolutely destroyed in like 15 moves. But it was a good variation. So I want to try it again. But my opponent goes e takes on d5. So the variation I was referring to happens on the advance. Pity he didn't play it. Or, of course, we could also do knight c3, where I normally recommend to trade and then develop the knight, enter this doubled f-pawn structure. Against exchange, it depends whether he's gonna play with this c2, c4 move or not. Most people decide to not play the move because that would allow an isolated pawn, because black has the opportunity to trade. Although the way I would normally treat this, I'd go knight f6, e6, bishop e7, castle, and just wait for the bishop to make a move. either e2 or d3, and only when the bishop moves, then I throw in the dc to just make the bishop move twice. And this guy goes onto the long diagonal. Now on bishop d3 is just gonna be a normal exchange variation type of game. I like to begin with this knight because on c3 it's a pretty important little detail for high elo games above 2000 elo mainly. This helps because after bishop g4, queen b3, queen c7 is a nice touch, protecting the pawn and also stopping white from going bishop to f4, which is the best square for their dark square bishop in this structure. I'm saying this helps for higher elo mainly, this specific opening nuance, because in low elo, you're gonna get this like any knight random move. It's more about the pawn structure, more about the plans. Luckily, the plans pretty much remain the same. So I'm gonna go knight c6. So directing the pawn, expecting c3 is usually what they do, because it also takes away any knight before ideas that could be harassing this guy. And oh wow, we have a pretty nice, well, pretty nice for me because I know what to play, but maybe not so nice for you because I see that a lot of the newer players get in trouble here because they don't know how to solve the issue of the light square bishop. So please feel free to pause the video and try to come up with an idea in case you haven't seen this one before. Black has two options. It's possible to play e5 and just go very aggressive, enter the isolated pawn position, but I'm not a huge fan of that. I think a much easier way to do this is to go g6. Just avoid the normal e6, bad bishop kind of game. You wanna go g6. And even though at first glance this may look like we're trying to fianchetto, we're gonna do a 180 on our opponent and confuse him. We're gonna confuse our Greek opponent by playing bishop f5. What is this chess master teaching guy trying to do? Is he crazy? He's allowing the double pawns. Well, my opponent rightfully declines to enter the structure because after bishop takes, pawn takes, black has a very simple plan of going e6, bishop d6, knight e4, rook g8, queen c7, long castle, and all the moves come naturally, and white doesn't have a really nice square for their king. So opponent decides against it and castles. The move that I was hoping not to see. Now, how do I treat this position? I do have the option of taking. I can play bishop g7, and I'm genuinely trying to recall what to do. I'm not faking thinking, guys. You may think that I fake thinking sometimes. I don't do that. I don't like YouTubers that know everything and fake their thinking, trying to act like a genius. Now, what do I do? What is the genius play? I'm just trying to realize if it's worth to play queen c7 or not to stop bishop f4. I think my analysis pretty much does that, but I mean, I've been playing all kinds of openings with the black pieces recently. I've been experimenting more and more. So I don't remember that 100%, but I believe queen c7 was right. And yeah, he goes bishop e3, so slightly more passive square than usual, but okay, not a disaster by any means. Now, since he is not really trying to exchange, I think it's time to do it ourselves. And then go for fianchetto, castle, and we're about to deploy the minority attack. That is what we're gonna do. We're gonna use the power of the minority. Wait, can I do it now? Can I go for the turbo minority? I want to play b5. So normally the way this goes, it's called minority attack, by the way, because we have 2 pawns against 3. Normally the way this goes, you play rook b8 and then b5. But maybe for my opponent, just because he's a nice guy from Greece, I could play b5 right away. Point being, queen takes rook b8. I'm gonna win back the b2 pawn. Okay, he may be a nice guy from Greece, but I'm gonna play rook b8 first still. And okay, b4, wow. Problem with b4 is that, well, the pawn on c3 was rock solid the move before. Right now, it cannot be protected by other pawns and it's placed on an open file. So if I could be in time to make all my ideal moves, rook c8, e6, maneuver the knight to d6, I should be able to slowly but surely clamp on that pawn. Perhaps I don't even need this rook on the b file anymore. I don't need to push b5 just as a automatic move. I'd much rather play rook c8 and knight b3. I'd keep this move in reserve now. It's super important to kind of understand how much a pawn move like this pretty much changes the character of the position. So I'm not afraid of any c4 move because that's gonna weaken d4 and will increase the power of my bishop. My bishop is currently a bit restricted by these pawns, but by the looks of it, he's really gonna go for c4. Or maybe not, or maybe he will. a4. Yeah, I'm not bothered by that. The question is, do I want to play e5? Generally, the answer is no, but can the activity compensate for my isolated pawn in that regard? Probably not. Just gonna play it simple, e6. So notice how I have my bishop on the dark squares while pawns are placed on the opposite color of the bishop, securing pretty nice coordination. You can keep that one in your back pocket if you're trying to get a harmonious setup. And a5, I don't really mind that. Do I go full pawn on the light squares? Yes, I go full pawns on the light squares. Might be an idiotic move, but it's a very pleasing one to make. Okay, c4 he still cannot do. I have knight b4 at least. Now this square also is a bit weak. My opponent is really committing. Really committing. He's a young guy. He shouldn't be committing this early. Although, I have no idea who my opponent is, so... maybe he's not. Okay. Bishop h4. So, this pin is a little bit annoying, but I don't see how he wants to increase pressure, so... I think I'll try knight e7. Knight e7 with idea knight f5. So expecting maybe g4. Yeah, this move I wasn't really so afraid of. I think I can duck the queen. Do you guys know how to duck the queen? We're gonna duck the queen on e8. He's gonna play knight in the center and we're gonna duck the queen. And this is a very nice maneuver because my rooks are coordinated. Actually, what I meant to say is that they are connected. So queen is hiding. I want to get in my maneuvers. Oh, he plays c4. Right. So this is first instinct, but maybe I have good chance to play knight f5 first and really create some harm. I don't know. I'm going to play it simple. I don't have a lot of time to think, so I'm really going to have to speed up. So bishop, pawn, 2 big weaknesses. My opponent's getting absolutely schooled. He is getting a free chess lesson. I feel like that is what is happening. He's going for the pseudo activity, for the pseudo weak square on b6. But what he's going to get, he's going to get his pawn captured. So just because he's trying to do bishop e5, I think I'm going to take. Sometimes it's interesting to keep the knight because it was having a lot of pressure, but yeah. Okay, I need this knight improved. I would want it on f5. I don't see an obvious maneuver. I'm gonna go PP on the PP. Putting pressure, attacking pawn, maybe 95. I'm so gonna lose this game on time, and I'm already pretty angry. Just woke up. This guy's putting me to the test. Okay, I will try to do more PP on the PP. I don't know what to do. Oh man, this is like such a nice position. He's strategically busted, but yeah, has 7 times more time than I do. So that's the argument that he's going for. But isn't this just losing a piece? What is he doing? Oh no, he has that knight move. It felt like almost just losing a piece. Okay, 95. How bad can centralizing be? Problem is I'm not having a frat. Okay, I gotta take 2 pieces for the rook. Give me that. At least that makes the game easier. I was winning, but I didn't see a way to actually make things explode. So this is really handy. Opponent's giving me kind of a second chance to get an obvious win. Opponent? Ah, the good old Greek hospitality. You love to see it. Okay. Knight c3. That does help quite a bit. 30 seconds left. Can the old Alex Banzea convert this? That is the question. 30 seconds. Normally, yes, but I'm not a big bullet guy. I hate bullet. If you guys are playing bullet, please stop. You're hurting yourself. If you think bullet is fun. Brother, what are you doing with your life, really? Stop playing bullet. Bullet chess is really bad. Unless you're a title player, stop playing bullet. That would be my advice. See, you don't even need bullet. Your opponent disconnects when you have 30 seconds. You don't need it. Okay. To all the champions that made it this far into the video, we're actually gonna go over the most important game of them all. Today, at least. Because my opponent played the advanced variation, it ended up being something super thematic, even for games around 1000 elo. And spoiler alert, the game had a pretty surprising ending. So let's dive right into the final game. LC0. That's a smart chess player kind of name. And he goes for e4. So we're gonna be sticking to our guns. And are we gonna see the advance? Or people have stopped completely playing the advance? And here we have it. And I believe that for the first time in the history of this channel, we are about to play bishop f5. I recommend c5 for most of you watching, let's say, for players below 2000 elo. But I want to experiment some ideas and go for bishop to f5. Okay? Myself and bishop f5 have known each other for a while, but we had to get a divorce. We've been divorced for like a few years for now. But we're gonna give it one more try. And my opponent plays h3. He goes h3. Wow, that's such a not great move. So my preparation was mainly in knight f3, but of course h4 is possible. Tal variation. I would have played most principled h5. But on h3, we just get a normal game after e6. Normal game. Whenever you say that the board is known to get on fire. So we will see. And okay, knight f3, perhaps this does not change my strategy as much as I thought. I think I'm gonna go for same setup with knight d7, knight e7, h6. This is what I was having in mind against knight f3 to begin with. Now the question is, will he play for bishop e2? So I'm gonna go knight d7. Many weaker players go bishop d3, which, yeah, okay, it's not really such a bad move, but not great either. And this is now gonna be very instructive, especially for the lower elo audience, because this setup is very common in games around 1000 elo. So I specifically placed this knight on d7, and I'm gonna go knight e7 next. Additionally, if you want, as a funny idea to arrange your pieces, you can play bishop b4 check, c3, and then bishop a5, rerouting the bishop to c7, kind of getting a nice little cozy setup for the pieces. This is how Magnus Carlsen used to play basically back when he was a baby. Now, I'm gonna go knight e7 because it's the better move. I'm not concerned about the bishop problem yet. And now it's very natural for most people to play knight f5. But I believe knight f5 is not such a great move. Specifically because, well, in the future we're gonna get hit by g4 and not gonna have such a nice retreat. So I'm gonna go for the best move, idea to play c5, knight c6. Additionally, if you wanna do some gymnastics with the Caro-Kann knights, you can play knight c8. Bishop e7, castle, a6, put the knight on a7. It also works like that, but c5 is best move with knight on f3. With this knight being on e2, this setup isn't as precise, but it's very rare it happens, so ignore it and don't get confused by that. Remember it like this. So knight on f3, trade bishops on d3, perfect setup. Knights are so smooth. Bishop goes on e7 with castle, and then hopefully we're gonna be able to show some thematic play on the queen side. So yeah, this reminds me of some old Karpovian queenside squeezes. So bishop e7 getting castled. dc I can recapture with a knight quite easily. And okay, a3. Yeah, a3, I think we need to really be careful and be responsive. So please feel free to pause the video and think about what would you do. Because personally, I was about to just castle, but a3 is a signal that he's going b4 next. And it's a move that I don't want to allow. He's not supposed to be getting that for free. Notice that b4 in the past also wasn't possible, so why allow it? No reason. c4, very important. Now, also notice that we're doing something quite nice. We have pawns on the opposite color of our bishop. So dark square bishop, pawns on the opposite color. This is gonna ensure very nice mobility. Maybe mobility is the right word. I'd say this bishop definitely has great mobility. Watching both sides. And okay, we have typical closed game where the pawn chain pretty much dictates the play. So simple rule of thumb, look where your pawn chain is pointing towards. Start from the bottom of the pawn chain and draw an arrow through the pawns like this. Okay, now you have the side where you should be focusing. Works the same for your opponent. Opponent is gonna attack on this side. At least theoretically, that's how they're supposed to play. Now, I can go ahead and push these pawns, never look back. That's fine. But a really smart chess player would also try to pay attention to opponent's moves. And I'm thinking maybe we could make work a move like pawn to f5. Because if he does not en passant, then I'm getting a kingside freeze, so stopping his attack before it begins. And if he goes en passant, maybe knight takes, maybe bishop capture. I like knight capture, feels more natural, capturing with lower value piece. And as long as he doesn't get to attack my pawn on e6, this should be a sound decision. Is it possible to take with a g-pawn? A bit risky. I would like to make f5 work. Does it make sense to play b5, f4, and then wait? And then maybe play f5? Maybe it matters actually that I let him push, because after takes, my knight gets access to e4. And he cannot fight for it with a pawn anymore. Bit of a tricky decision here. Bit of a tricky decision. Not sure 100% what to do, but I'll play b5. Intuitively feels to be the right move. Also maybe f4, I have queen b6, quite interesting to set up a trick. If f5, knight e5. Probably shouldn't be playing for tricks, but just an idea to be aware of. The unprotected bishop. Okay, so knight d2, a5. I could do queen b6, setting up the trick, but now a5 is part of the plan with b4. And okay, he's gonna push. Maybe we can actually just say that this can be ignored. Could be the case. Could also do g6, g4, and then f5. So he en passant, knight takes. How do we manage? f5 looks a bit messy. What if I just push? I feel like we need to play double-edged. I don't wanna compromise the position. I feel like we need to go for it. b4. Just try to maximize the pressure on the queen side, and it might actually be clever to lock the situation and play b3, which looks a bit crazy at the moment because it looks like we're not gonna be able to make progress. But I put pawn on b3, put pawn on a4, and then I will have long-term ideas to sacrifice a piece on a3. So I think this is how I'm gonna be playing it. So check this out, b3, putting queen on a passive square. He wants queen g4 now with the tempo. I need to be careful. Also, there is knight e5 idea to sacrifice. Maybe I just take. Not liking what I did. Okay. It's gonna get a little bit ugly. Queen b6, queen g4, I have knight e5. Queen g3 he plays, and then f6 is coming, knocking at my door. I don't want to play ef, but looks like I might have to. Perhaps not such a bad move at the end of the day. Okay, so queen f3, attacking d5. I'll have to move the knight. He can go grab, and knight a4, rook b1. Can I already do interesting things? Bishop a3 and then knight c3. So the slow play would be a4, knight a7, knight b5, and then look for tricks. But I think I want to play faster. Also, can I offer queen trade? I want to offer queen trade first. Yes, so ideally if I can get endgame, then it's easy play for me to sacrifice the piece. Hopefully he's gonna give me endgame. He should keep. Yes, good decision. And now I was looking at the move, but maybe this way even. So sacrifice the piece for 2 pawns and then play a4. Yeah, this is how we do it. Should be winning because I feel like he's far away from attacking. But I don't have a lot of time on the clock. So if I don't get mated, the pawns should be decisive. If he doesn't get some crazy attack, we should be good. Bishop goes back, pawn goes to a2, some king h8, prepare to sidestep tricks. Only a minute left on the clock. Wow, so already, what is this bishop h6? Why can't I take? Knight g4, bishop e7 takes. Some nonsensical ideas. He's throwing at me nonsensical ideas. G8, knight g4, bishop e7 takes. King h8, knight f7. Yeah, so I have to take, I guess. I'll just have to play by intuition. Am I trapping his queen? If I take and I go rook f8. No, I'm not trapping his queen. What on earth am I saying? So I need to take. He doesn't have a check on the bright side. And I have a3. He doesn't have a check and my pawns are near promotion. What a crazy game. Should be winning. According to the common sense rules of chess, but chess also mirrors life in the same way that, you know, you're not gonna win always if you deserve it, or let's say, you get where I'm going with this. You know how life is. Okay, a3, a2, 30 seconds. So knight f3, threatening knight g5, expect to be played. I'm gonna go rook g8 to stop it. Knight f3, maybe I have rook f8 also. So he wants rook f7 now. Okay, trade rooks. What to do? Trade rooks and put bishop on g7. Rook f7, queen e8, maybe? Maybe. Just let me queen. Very respectfully. I just want to queen. Nothing more, nothing less. Knight f3, I have b2, b1, and the queen defends. Frat is a2. "14 seconds. This is nerve-wracking. LC0. Opponent knows he has nothing, but he's gonna make it tricky. a2. What is g4? Oh! No, I just hang my queen! I hang my queen! No! No!